Hi everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we peel back the layers of corporate filings to see what's really going on. And today we're diving into Santander Holdings USA's latest report, which is looking to give us a peek behind the curtain, or maybe just a nice plain slideshow presentation. So what we have here is a report filed on August 15th, 2025. It's a pretty standard current report, also known as a 4K, and this one seems to be mostly about some presentation materials they are using to talk about their business. Think of it like the company giving a friendly update, but through a very official document. It's not a deep dive into every single number like some other reports, but it still tells us something about what they want us to see. Alright, so the main point of this filing is to share some presentation materials. They aren't giving us brand new financial statements to scrutinize in this particular document, but they are attaching slides that will be used for presentations. These slides are meant to cover their results of operations and financial condition, and also provide some regulation. FD, or fair disclosure, is a rule that pretty much says companies have to share important information with everyone at the same time, not just a select few. So in essence, they're using this 8K to make sure that whatever they're sharing in these presentations is also officially on public record, and it's happening on August 15th, 2025. The filing explicitly states that the information in these presentation materials is summary information. This means it's likely a high-level overview of how Santander Holdings USA is doing and what they want to highlight. They're not obligated to update this information. It's being furnished, not filed. This is a subtle but key distinction. When something is furnished, it generally means it's being provided to the SEC for informational purposes, without the same level of legal liability as if it were formally filed. Think of it like handing over your notes versus submitting a finished thesis, and pre-summational purposes without the same level of legal liability as if it were formally filed. Think of it like handing over your notes versus submitting a finished thesis. And signing off on this is Gerard A. Chamberlain, who holds a pretty important title, Senior Deputy General Counsel and Executive Vice President. This tells us that this report has gone through the necessary legal review and is an official communication from the company. It's interesting that a legal representative is signing off on what seems to be financial and operational updates, which just underscores the importance of getting these disclosures right. Now, while this particular filing doesn't contain extensive financial tables for us to pore over as much as a quarterly or annual report might, the fact they are presenting information about their operations and financials themselves tells a story. They are clearly in a period where they feel the need to communicate their performance or outlook to investors or the public. Since we don't have the actual slides here, we have to infer what kind of story they are telling based on the context of an 8K filing and the date, which is mid-August, typically when second quarter earnings reports have already been digested and companies are looking ahead. Let's think about what Santander Holdings USA does. They are the US holding company for the Spanish banking giant, Banco Santander. So they are a significant player in the American financial landscape, involved in banking and financial services. When a company like this releases an update, especially one that's being presented to stakeholders, it's either to celebrate good news, explain challenges, or outline future plans. Given this is a regulated industry, transparency even through summarized information is critical. If we had the presentation slides, we'd be looking for key performance indicators. For a company like Santander, this could include things like loan growth, deposit levels, net interest income, capital ratios, and perhaps updates on their digital transformation efforts or market share in different segments like mortgages or consumer lending. We'd also be watching for any commentary on the economic environment, interest rate impacts, and regulatory changes, all of which are crucial factors for any bank. Consider the broader banking environment in August 2025. We'd be looking at how inflation has been behaving, what the Federal Reserve's stance on interest rates is, and the general health of the US economy. Banks are highly sensitive to these macroeconomic factors. For example, if interest rates have remained high, it could boost net interest income, which is the difference between what a bank earns on its assets like loans and what it pays on its liabilities like deposits. What it pays on its liabilities like deposits. On the other hand, higher rates can also increase the risk of loan defaults if borrowers struggle to repay. Santander Holdings USA, as part of a global financial institution, also has to balance its US operations with the overall strategy and financial health of its parent company. Global economic conditions, currency exchange rates, and international regulations can all play a role. Without the specific details from the presentation, it's hard to give a definitive Warren Buffett-style analysis, as that often involves digging into the actual financial statements, the balance sheet, income statement, and cash flow statement. However, we can talk about the implications of them filing this. The fact that they are using these presentation materials and filing them publicly via an 8K suggests a degree of confidence in what they are presenting. Companies typically don't use these filings to disseminate bad news unless it's legally required or unavoidable. So while we don't have the numbers here, the act of sharing this presentation indicates they are likely pleased enough with recent performance or future prospects to put it in front of the public. Risks for a company like Santander Holdings USA would include increased competition from traditional banks and newer fintech companies, potential economic downturns that could lead to higher loan losses, changes in banking regulations, and challenges in retaining and attracting talent in a competitive financial market. Opportunities would likely revolve around expanding their customer base, leveraging technology to improve efficiency and customer experience, and potentially growing through strategic acquisitions if the market conditions are favorable. So my take on this specific filing is that it's more of a what you see is what you get situation. It's a formal way of saying, here's some information we're sharing and it's now part of our official record. It points to a company that is actively communicating its position, likely in a positive or neutral light, as part of its ongoing investor relations and disclosure strategy. It's always good to see companies being proactive in sharing information, even if it's curated. The real test, of course, will be in the details of those presentation slides themselves, which frankly we are missing here, but the filing itself is a signal of ongoing business activity and communication. If you found this breakdown helpful, even with the limited scope of this particular filing, please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel reach more people. And don't forget to subscribe for more decoding of corporate documents. We also have a fantastic community over on Discord. The link is in the description below, so come join the conversation there. What are your thoughts on companies using 8Ks to share presentation materials like this? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.